feeling these puffs of cold air coming down the companionway. The water just turned green, and evidently we are in much colder water, which is also probably why the wind suddenly died down a bit. We are definitely out of the Gulf Stream. We're north of it at this point. Well, it's a beautiful morning on Thursday, the 18th of April. And we're sailing kind of due north. Got about 50 miles to go to the Bay Bridge Tunnel. A little slower than I had hoped. I reefed down last night in anticipation of strong winds. And both the models were showing after midnight 15 to 25 knots, but most of the night it was only about 10 to 15. So I was kind of sailing slowly under double reef main, reef staysail, and then around 2 a.m. I shook the reef out of the staysail. And now I got a full main, and I just put the code 0 on this morning because we're down to, yeah, kind of about 6 to 9 knots or so, 7 to 10 knots of wind. And the forecast is still the same. It's supposed to come northeast later on today. So basically it's just going to switch direction. And the forecast to be fairly brisk too. But again, well, now my confidence is shaken a bit in these weather forecasts. I think one thing that's affecting it is just we've moved into much colder water. I mean, you can feel it. You feel the wind coming off the water. It's just a lot colder. I think we went from about 70 Gulf Stream water temperature is about 75, 80 degrees, and I think I heard here it's 56. So a good 20-degree temperature change. So I'm not complaining, but a little puzzled why the forecast maps, you know, maybe because of the cold water, but I'm a little puzzled why the forecast maps were so far off on this one. Well, as forecast, the northeast wind came in, it also brought the fog in with it. Boy, this is like Maine fog. It looks like some of these big bulk carriers are anchored out here, because I can hear them off here, and I got them on my AIS. Oh, there's my alarm telling me we're going to pass within a mile of this guy. It looks like we're going to pass just within a mile. And I can hear them though faintly through the wind. I can hear hear those big diesel engine running. But I wonder if the Port of Baltimore being closed is the reason you got some of these big bulk carriers are just they've just dropped anchor and they're just sitting here lifting. Can I see this guy yet? No. It's lifting though. We should be able to see this guy pretty soon. Should be right off there somewhere. What, did somebody cyber attack my AIS here? Put Phantom ships? Seems like I got at least half a mile of visibility here. Wait a minute. Okay. Well, it told me that it says there's a ship there. I can't see it. Oh, there she is. Look at that. My God, that looks almost big enough to be a thunderstorm. Now there's the Chesapeake Light Tower, which leaves us with about 18 miles to run to the Bay Bridge Tunnel from here. You can see this wind really came in. It's blown about 18 knots, 17, 18 knots. So now we're actually getting more wind than what was on the forecast maps. If the forecast maps were saying, well, they're saying about 12, 13. So a little bit more than what was on there. Anyway, we're cranking right along here. What is it? It's about 11 in the evening on the 18th of April 2024. What was it? Thursday night. And we're coming in. I'm going to put into Pocosin. We just came through the Bay Bridge Tunnel about an hour ago. It's 10 to 11 in the evening, and hopefully we can be anchored down in Pocosin in about 2 hours. It's too far to push on to Deltaville. I'm not going to make it all night, we got a lot of wind. I mean, we're really getting kicked around here. It's northeast winds 15 to 25 knots. Just speeding us on our way, but I mean, coming in through the Bay Bridge Tunnel, it was just, I was in half a gale there. So it's not a very pleasant ride here, and so hopefully we got about 10 miles to go into Pocosin. So hopefully put that down in about 2 hours. Looking forward to it. Oh, Jesus Christ. So that's where it's at. Hopefully be anchored down in about 2 hours. Oh, it's Friday, the 19th of April. And gotten here last night. We're anchored in the Pocosin River. And today is the only day for about the next 5 days that there's going to be a fair wind to get to Deltaville. Because after today, then it looks like variable winds and then northerlies. So basically either headwinds or no wind. And I got some sleep last night at least. At least I'm not going on zero sleep. I would say I got about 4 hours or so. But considering I've had hardly any sleep over the past 3 days, that's not a lot, but it's enough to be functional. So, yeah, no rest for us weary sailors. So I'm gonna pick up anchor. The wind is veering. It's just about easterly now, almost east southeast. And it's supposed to come southeast this afternoon. So that's a good fair wind to Deltaville. So we'll take that. Well, I was grumbling. Well, I didn't start off till afternoon, so almost all afternoon. Just had hardly any wind, and what wind I had was on the nose, and we're just kind of poking along, sawing back and forth, this tack, that tack. And so now all of a sudden the wind comes in, and it's about 15 to 17 knots. Even had to put a reef in the main. And so that big bump up there, that's wolf trap. According to the chart, there's plenty of water to pass inside. That cuts a little distance down to Deltaville. As it stands, got about, I think about 13, 14 miles to Deltaville. This is a good wind to go in the entrance, but of course I'm going to be doing it after dark. Looks like we got the local sheriff's convention here. Yeah, beautiful crisp morning here. Can just lay the course out to the day beacon there, and then we can bear away. I wanted to get out of here now, even though these winds are probably going to die for an hour or two, and then they're going to come in southeast, and it could get pretty brisk. I'm going to try to make it up to Solomon's. which is 50 miles. Probably won't be there until, with any kind of luck, 8 or 9 in the evening. But by that time, the wind is going to be up to about 15 to 20 knots out of the south. So that's downwind. So we'll see how this all turns out. Every day's an adventure when you don't have an engine. I think his wind is already shifting southeast. You weren't supposed to do that. So I'm presently sailing back out of Fishing Bay, which is in Deltaville. Now you might be wondering why I am departing Deltaville, since that was my destination. And the reason that was my destination was that I was planning to haul out and do my annual maintenance in Deltaville. However, I was recently contacted by a couple of friends and fans of the channel who strongly recommended that I try Young's Yard, which is up in Sparrows Point, just outside of Baltimore. And from what I can gather, it's quite a famous boatyard. So I'm going to give that a try. However, Sparrows Point is a little over 100 miles north of where I am. So I'm going to try to do it in 2 hops. First up to Solomon's, which is what I'm going to try to accomplish today, and then from Solomon's on to Sparrows Point. So Baby Ruth is really filling up with water here. I have to see if I can get some of that water out. Let's put a second reef in the main. Eesh, yeah, what a night. Well, that anchorage out there is not to be recommended in the southeast. Those swells were coming in and didn't sleep too well last night. So I'm gonna go up and anchor. There's kind of a little basin here. I think I see one other boat anchored there. You can anchor there. Yeah, nothing like a little obstacle course to tack through here. Looks like we should make it on this tack. Well, I successfully made it to Solomon's as soon as I dropped my anchor here, which gets me about halfway to Sparrows Point, so yay team. Consider supporting this channel by becoming a patron. As a patron, you will be able to view my videos free of ads. You will also be able to leave comments, ask questions, and message me directly. You can become a patron for as little as $5 a month.